Hello, I'm Daniela and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show how I print onto fabric, specifically for how I use it for my slow stitching pieces. I really like to print on fabric because I can make a custom design. I can make text or photos or even pictures, illustrations. All these things come in handy when I want to really tailor the project to suit my needs. Now you can purchase little packets online of different fabrics that you can print on, and they come in either small packets of either, say, 3 sheets to up to, I think, as many as 20, all made by different brands. You want to make sure you look for the brand that says printable, sewable fabric, because they come in different formats. And you don't want to confuse it with little iron-on transfers that look a lot like it. Now what it is, it's a piece of fabric with a backing, and the backing is fused to the fabric temporarily so that you can feed it through your printer, your inkjet printer, to print whatever you'd like. As I said, I do a lot of text images, so I made a sheet that you can download, and I'll link that below on my website. You can download that sheet and use it in your slow stitching if it comes in handy, and I hope it does. Now I also show you a way that if you don't want to purchase the sheets, because they are rather expensive, you can make your own using freezer paper and just some plain fabric. And in my case, it was cream colored muslin, just a little off-white. This made for a nice image, and it also looked a little worn, shall we say. So I really liked that effect. So one of the easiest ways to print on fabric that I find is to purchase these sheets. They're sew-in fabric sheets. Now they come in different varieties. So there are some that are transfers, which are not the same. And there are some that are adhesive backed, which are not the same. So be sure to look for the sew-in sheets. Now these are sheets that look like paper. They come with an instruction sheet, and they're for inkjet printers. Now each of the sheets you see here, looks like just a standard sheet of paper, it's a little heavier weight, has a backing, and this backing is like the back of a sticker paper because it is a backing that's adhesive just for running through the printer. It fits a standard piece of paper. You load it into the printer the way you would load it so that it prints on the top, not on the bottom. So in my printer's case, I have to flip it upside down because it prints out this way. But some top-loading printers, you would just load it accordingly. But the top is fabric, and each of these brands is just slightly different in terms of color. They come in different colors, white, off-white, and they all say printable cotton or something to that effect, this inkjet fabric sheets. Now they're not inexpensive. You can buy packs of 3, packs of 20, packs of 10. This one has 8. And you just use them as you would. I find them very valuable because while there's lots of beautiful fabric on the market and very easy to acquire, and sometimes very inexpensively, you can always repurpose and reuse fabric. You can find it at secondhand shops and such. Sometimes you want a custom image. You might want a custom saying, like they show you the examples on their little covers here, the little advertising. They have personal pictures and whatnot. For my slow stitching, however, I use it because I like to put text or words that sometimes I can't find, or I don't want to even make the effort of finding. If I keep these in my supply and I have my printer operational full of ink, I can print out anything. So those are the packets that I have that I keep on hand when I want to print out a custom image that I want to use for my slow stitching. But if there's a particular fabric that I want to use as the background, or if I run out of the papers in the packets, you can use freezer paper and achieve the same result. Now to do this, you want to take a piece of fabric that will fit a standard 8.5 by 11 paper, or whatever size paper your printer will accept. And you want to make sure it's ironed. I iron it really well on both sides. I'm trying to get out any wrinkles. I remove any fuzz or any strings that are attached to the fabric that might just cling to them, because I don't want anything to get stuck in my printer. I'll really spend some time really just ironing that fabric out because I want it to look really smooth. Then I'll cut a piece of freezer paper from the roll and I trim it just so that it's a little bit bigger than the 8.5 by 11 sheet that I'm going to print on. And again, if you're printing on bigger sheet, you'll trim it accordingly. From there, I use an 8.5 by 11 sheet as my guide, and I then know that I have enough fabric and enough freezer paper to use. Then I'll take the fabric and set it down on my work surface. I'll take the freezer paper, the shiny side, and put that on the back of my fabric. And then I'll use an iron to fuse the two together. I put the iron on the cotton setting, or maybe even just below the cotton setting, and I run it over the paper and the freezer paper attached to the fabric first. This is just to slowly fuse the heat down. Then I'll remove the paper and really work the iron all over the freezer paper to fuse it to the fabric. I'll flip it over and iron it again. Now there are a couple of key things here. You want to make sure that your iron fuses the edges down, the edges of the fabric down to that freezer paper. You don't want anything sticking up in your printer. After I have that done, I'll sketch out using my 8.5 by 11 sheet as a guide, a template, and I'll sketch out that actual size, and that's the size that I'm going to feed into my printer. I'll cut it out, being careful to cut along the lines. If I make it a little smaller, that's okay. A little bigger might not fit in my printer, but a little shorter or a little thinner will be fine. So then I have my image all cut out, and now it's ready to be fed into my printer according to how my printer works. So now my freezer paper fabric is ready to print, as well as the fabric from the printables. So this is how I print, and I'll show you by printing the exact image that I have for you to download. So it doesn't matter which method you use, whether you use the freezer paper method, creating your own printable paper, or you purchase the pre-prepared packets. Either way, you're going to want to take the file of whatever you want to print, and I'm just demonstrating on the file that you can download that's on my website. And it doesn't matter what program you open it with. I'm going to just open it with Preview because all I want to do is see the file. So it takes a moment to load, and then I have it here. This is the entire file. And then all I'm going to do is go down to my menu and click Print. Now from there, the screen will open up that will give me my printing options. So I select the printer that I want it to go to, I make sure that it fits, and I can change the size as well by going here to the scale. It's on the US letter paper in the portrait mode, so everything's accurate there. And now I'm just going to click Print. So you'll want to load your paper into your machine before you print it out. And then after it prints, you'll see how it looks, and it's a very nice image. Depending on the color paper that you use, you'll get a different effect, and as you can see that. So you can print out anything. You can print out your text like I did here, and I have this sheet available for you to download on my website, and I'll include the link below. But I can cut each of these out and use them in my work. They're just little sayings. A lot have to do with sewing, and then there's just some cute images because you can print as beautifully as you can on paper. So now this is printed onto fabric. Currently my backing is still attached, which makes it stiff and easy to store. And if I'm not going to use it right away, this is exactly how I store it. I'll show you how I use it as well. So here's a sheet that I have with different words. All I do is, again, the backing is still attached. I can just cut out the word that I want to use in my work because I find that to be a really important purpose for me, very valuable to have different sayings and whatnot. And now I have to remove that sticker backing. So I just fold this piece over just like you would on a sticker, and I can separate it. Now it's not sticky at all. This is the back, which is sticky, and I just dispose of this. But for this fabric swatch, I can now stitch around it and add it to my work. And I could do the same thing with any of the images that I have. So I find this very valuable, and I've used this in projects as well. So that's how I print onto fabric. Now, I don't do it very often. 99% of the time I use pre-made fabric because there's so much out there that's really beautiful. But if I want a custom image or custom quote, I find this printing on fabric is very handy. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining me today.